A man has only so much time. In 2025, every second is claimed by distractions, obligations, noise, and unimportant tasks. Yet the Stoics understood that time is the most precious resource. A man possesses more valuable than wealth, status, or comfort because once it is gone, it can never be regained. A man who squanders time squanders his life. Time is not merely hours and minutes. It is the framework upon which character, strength, and legacy are built. Every habit, every action, every decision either invests your time wisely or wastes it. The modern world tempts men to waste it on scrolling, arguing, chasing fleeting pleasures, and seeking validation. The Stoics warn that a life spent chasing the trivial is a life lost. Seneca, one of the great Stoics, reminded himself daily that it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. The same principle applies today. A man who fails to measure his minutes, guard his energy, and focus his effort will find himself at the end of life with nothing meaningful achieved. Time is the currency of existence. How you spend it defines the man you become. Valuing time means making deliberate choices. It means prioritizing what is important over what is convenient. It means eliminating distractions that steal focus and prevent growth. It means saying no to shallow obligations, toxic influences, and unnecessary conflict. Every yes must earn its place. Every action must justify its cost. And every day must be treated as a limited opportunity. The Stoics also understood that time is fleeting, and the present is all we truly own. Worrying about the past is wasted effort. Obsessing over the future is wasted energy. True power comes from acting decisively in the present moment, using each day as a building block for a life of purpose. A man who respects time knows that procrastination is a thief of potential, that distraction is an enemy, and that every deliberate action compounds into long-term strength. Valuing time goes beyond productivity. It is a philosophy of life. It shapes priorities, disciplines the mind, and strengthens character. When a man measures every hour against what matters most, he becomes efficient, decisive, and unshakable. He no longer reacts to trivial demands or external chaos. He moves with purpose, integrity, and clarity. Time is the canvas on which a Stoic man paints his life. Every disciplined morning, every focused effort, every choice to resist distraction is a stroke of mastery. Every wasted hour is a lost opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more capable. In 2025, men are constantly distracted, yet the rare man understands that time is finite, precious, and non-renewable. He guards it fiercely, invests it intentionally, and spends it only on what builds his mind, body, and legacy. This awareness of time fuels discipline, strengthens focus, protects energy, and deepens gratitude. A man who values time above all else is unstoppable. He moves through life with purpose. He avoids wasted effort. He maximizes every opportunity. He lives intentionally, fully, and powerfully. Time becomes his ally, and in mastering it, he masters life itself. Asterisk a man's desires can be his greatest motivator or his greatest prison. In 2025, society encourages endless craving, more money, more recognition, more pleasure, more attention. Every advertisement, social post, and fleeting trend is designed to awaken desire, to pull men from focus, discipline, and purpose. The Stoics warn that uncontrolled desires enslave the mind, drain energy, and destroy character. True freedom lies in mastery over what you want. Desires are not inherently bad. They are natural impulses. But when a man allows every impulse to dictate his decisions, he becomes a servant to the world rather than the master of his life. He sacrifices clarity for indulgence, purpose for distraction, and discipline for temporary pleasure. A Stoic man recognizes each desire, examines it, and decides whether it serves growth or destroys it. The Stoics practice voluntary restraint. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that happiness is not found in external gratification, but in virtue, discipline, and self-mastery. Epictetus taught that a man should not be controlled by appetites or cravings. because surrendering to them undermines independence. When desires are controlled, energy, focus, and power are preserved. When desires rule, chaos follows. Uncontrolled desire manifests in many ways. The craving for validation makes men dependent on approval. The craving for wealth makes men reckless or shallow. The craving for comfort makes men weak. The craving for pleasure makes men short-sighted. Each uncontrolled desire chips away at freedom, leaving a man reactive rather than intentional. Control of desire is not about denial for its own sake. It is about alignment. A man disciplines impulses so that they serve a higher purpose. He does not suppress motivation or ambition. He channels them with clarity. He does not seek instant gratification. He invests effort toward lasting gain. He does not chase every fleeting emotion. He cultivates patience, focus, and resilience. The Stoic man trains himself daily, resisting the urge to overindulge, practicing moderation, and evaluating the cost of each want. Each act of self-control strengthens character, sharpens judgment, and preserves energy. Freedom grows with each disciplined choice until desire no longer dictates life. In 2025, distractions and temptations are endless. Luxury, entertainment, social validation, and instant pleasure are at every turn. Yet the man who masters his desires remains steady. He is not weak. He is powerful. He is not deprived. He is free. He is not reactive. He is intentional. Desire becomes a tool, not a master. Mastering desire builds resilience. It builds focus. It builds independence. It builds clarity. A man who can say no to what undermines his growth can say yes to what empowers him. He chooses long-term strength over fleeting pleasure, purpose over distraction, and mastery over indulgence. The Stoic path is the path of discipline, clarity, and freedom. A man who controls his desires masters his life. He acts with intention. He moves with power. He lives without fear of want because he understands what truly matters. In a world obsessed with endless craving, this man stands apart, calm, unshakable, and free. Asterisk life in 2025 will test every man through setbacks, betrayal, failure, and uncertainty. The world does not pause for weakness, and challenges do not ask permission before they arrive. The Stoics believe that courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. A man who faces adversity with courage transforms obstacles into opportunities, weakness into strength, and fear into action. Fear is natural. Pain is natural. Loss is natural. But the Stoic man does not allow these forces to dominate his mind. He does not waste energy resisting what has already occurred or worrying about what might happen. Instead, he confronts adversity head-on, guided by reason, discipline, and purpose. Adversity is a teacher. Each difficulty is an opportunity to strengthen the mind, refine character, and cultivate resilience. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the impediment to action strengthens action itself. The obstacle becomes the way. When a challenge arises, it is not a curse, but a call to practice virtue, patience, courage, self-control, and wisdom. A man who avoids adversity avoids growth. He seeks comfort and retreats from responsibility. He fears failure more than he desires strength. The Stoic man, however, welcomes difficulty as a necessary part of life. He knows that each struggle endured, each fear confronted, and each setback overcome becomes a brick in the foundation of mastery. Courage is not recklessness. It is not the absence of planning or the denial of danger. It is the choice to act despite uncertainty, discomfort, or fear. In 2025, distractions and conveniences make courage rare. Modern men often flee from conflict, challenge, or responsibility. The Stoic man does the opposite. He steps forward when others hesitate. He acts when others doubt. He persists when others give up. Facing adversity requires preparation. Mental toughness is built through daily discipline, self-control, and deliberate effort. Physical endurance strengthens resolve. Emotional clarity ensures that fear does not cloud judgment. Each habit of resilience practiced today becomes the foundation for courage. When life tests him tomorrow, the Stoic man also understands perspective. Adversity is universal. It touches all men. Comparing one's suffering to others fosters resentment, weakness, and despair. Instead, he focuses on his response. He asks, "What can I learn? How can I grow? How can I act rightly in this moment?" By reframing adversity as an opportunity rather than a punishment, he gains strength, clarity, and composure. In facing adversity, a man discovers his true self. Comfort and ease reveal little. Pain, loss, fear, and challenge uncover character, resilience, and purpose. The man who endures builds confidence that no external circumstance can shake. He becomes steady in chaos, decisive in pressure, and unbreakable in the face of life's storms. In 2025, adversity will come to every man. The difference between a weak man and a stoic man is not whether challenges appear, it is how he meets them. Courage is a daily practice cultivated through discipline, reflection, and intention. Each trial faced becomes a step toward mastery. Each fear confronted becomes a victory. A stoic man does not pray for an easy life. He prepares for a strong one. He meets adversity with calm, clarity, and courage. In doing so, he transforms obstacles into power, weakness into resilience, and fear into unwavering confidence. Thank you for watching. If you found value in this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. In the world we live in today, a man wakes up every morning already fighting battles he cannot see before he even opens his eyes. Notifications wait for him, messages, comments, opinions, expectations. The world demands his attention before he has even taken a breath. But the ancient Stoics taught a truth that is more important now than ever. First, know what you can control. And second, let go of everything else. This is the foundation. This is where the journey begins. This is where a boy becomes a man, not through strength, not through status, but through control of his inner world. Modern man's problem in 2025. Most men live as slaves, not slaves to chains or prisons, but slaves to their own emotions, slaves to fear, slaves to insecurity, slaves to anxiety, slaves to the opinions of people they don't even know. One harsh comment ruins their mood. One ignored message destroys their confidence. One small failure breaks their motivation. A man who cannot control his inner world will always suffer in the outer world. This is the truth Marcus Aurelius tried to teach. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Most people read this, like it, share it, but very few men live it. The reality of control. Let me tell you something simple, something every man must tattoo into his mind. There are two worlds. One, the world you control, point two, the world you do not. Most men spend their entire life worrying about the second world. Why didn't she reply? Why don't people respect me? Why did he succeed faster than me? Why does life feel unfair? Why do people talk behind my back? Why don't things go the way I want? But a stoic man, he invests his energy only where it matters. He focuses on discipline, on effort, on routine, on self-respect, on decisions, on reactions. The things he can control. A stoic man thinks differently. A stoic man wakes up and asks himself, what can I influence today? If something is inside his control, he masters it. If something is outside his control, he releases it immediately. This is his superpower. This is his shield. This is why stoic men walk differently, talk differently, live differently. They are calm, because chaos cannot touch a man who controls himself. Example, the power of response. Imagine this. Someone insults you. Most men react instantly. Their heart races. Their ego wakes up. Their anger takes control. But a stoic man pauses. He takes a breath. He remembers the golden rule. I control my response, not their behavior. The insult loses its power. The trigger becomes meaningless. The stoic man remains undefeated. Example, innings and rejections. A woman stops texting you. You get ghosted, ignored, left behind. Most men chase. Most men panic. Most men question their worth. A Stoic man, he accepts reality. He respects himself. He moves forward. Why? Because he knows her decision is out of his control. But his dignity is not. Nothing outside him can break him unless he hands it the power to do so. Example, failure. You fail. It hurts. You feel like you're falling behind. Normal men blame the world. They compare themselves. They complain. A Stoic man studies the failure, learns from it, improves, comes back stronger, because the outcome isn't his control, but the effort always is. The modern world is an attack on your mind. Today's world is engineered to steal your peace. Infinite scrolling, constant comparison, pressure to be perfect, news designed to create fear. Social media designed to addict you, people showing only their best moments, and here you are, a man trying to stay calm in a world that wants you distracted. This is why Stoicism is not philosophy anymore. It is self-defense. The Stoic filter here is the filter a Stoic man uses daily. 1. Is this in my control? If yes, gives take action. If no, gives release it instantly. Simple, powerful, life-changing. Because when you stop wasting energy on things you cannot change, your mind becomes clear, your confidence rises, your focus becomes sharp, your purpose becomes stronger. Stoic masculinity, man is not defined by how much he controls others. A man is defined by how well he controls himself. Real masculinity is not aggression. Real masculinity is not dominance. Real masculinity is not emotionless silence. Real masculinity is self-mastery. Your emotions obey you. Your desires obey you. Your mind obeys you. Your actions obey you. When a man reaches this level, he becomes unstoppable. The art of letting go does not mean giving up. Letting go means choosing peace over chaos. Letting go of people who drain you, situations you cannot change, mistakes you cannot reverse, battles that are not worth fighting, expectations that are unrealistic. The noise of the world. A Stoic man travels light. That's why he moves faster. Every man in 2025 walks with a storm inside him. A storm of anger, fear, doubt, frustration, jealousy, disappointment, and desire. The world outside isn't the real enemy. The real enemy is the chaos you carry within. The ancient Stoics understood something modern men have forgotten. Your emotions are not harmless. They are not just feelings. They are forces that can build your life or destroy it without mercy. A man who cannot control his emotions will always be controlled by someone who can trigger them. And today, everyone is trying to trigger you. People want a reaction. Social media wants your outrage. Arguments want your anger. Relationships want your insecurity. Life wants to test your patience. This is why emotional mastery is the second rule every man must learn. The battle inside most men lose not because life is too hard, but because their emotions are too loud. They speak with anger before thinking. They react with jealousy before understanding. They panic with fear before trying. They break down from stress before acting. They fall apart because they never learn to pause. The Stoics believe that the strongest man is not the one with the loudest voice, not the one with the biggest body, not the one with the highest status, but the one who remains calm when every other man collapses. Your calmness is your power. Your discipline is your shield. Your emotional control is your masculinity. The pause that saves you when anger rises. Pause when jealousy burns. Pause when fear tightens your chest. Pause when someone disrespects you. Pause when life doesn't go your way. Pause. That tiny moment of stillness is the difference between regret and wisdom. A Stoic man is not emotionless. He feels everything. He just refuses to let emotions make his decisions. He is the master, not the servant of his inner world. The test of daily life. You will be tested every single day. Someone will speak rudely. Someone will betray your trust. Someone you care about will ignore you. Someone will provoke you for no reason. Someone will try to bring out your worst side. But if your peace is so fragile that a stranger's behavior can break it, you have not mastered yourself yet. A Stoic man understands their behavior is theirs. My reaction is mine. He never gives away his emotional power, not to a woman, not to a stranger, not to an enemy, not to the world. Anger, the most dangerous weapon against Yaonger, destroys men faster than failure. It makes you predictable. It makes you sloppy. It makes you manipulable. It makes you blind. Your enemies want you angry. It makes you easy to control. A calm, focused man is terrifying because no one can break him. A man who doesn't rise to provocation is the hardest man to defeat. Relationships and emotions. Nothing tests a man's emotional strength like romantic relationships. A weak man begs when insecure, argues when jealous, collapses when rejected, overthinks when ignorant. A stoic man communicates calmly, holds his standards, never begs, never chases validation, never loses dignity, never reacts emotionally, understands that love without emotional control turns into chaos, neediness, and self-destruction. His emotions do not drive him. His values do. The trap of overthinking. Most men are not suffering from real problems. They are suffering from imaginary thoughts. What if she leaves? What if I fail? What if they judge me? What if I'm not enough? What if things go wrong? Overthinking is fear wearing a suit. It pretends to be logic, but its only goal is to imprison you. A stoic man cuts the chain by asking, "Is this under my control?" If the answer is no, he drops it instantly. Peace returns. Clarity returns. Strength returns. The code of emotional mastery. A stoic man lives by simple emotional rules. Never decide when angry. Never respond when emotional. Never promise when excited. Never take anything personally. Act from principles, not moods. This code makes a man unshakable, respected, stable, trusted, desired, unbreakable. Emotional control is magnetic. People sense it without you saying a word. What happens when you master your emotions? You become the rarest kind of man. A man who cannot be manipulated. A man who cannot be provoked. A man who does not beg for attention. A man who does not fall apart under pressure. A man who moves with calm power. In a world full of emotional chaos, your calmness becomes a weapon. Your patience becomes a strategy. Your silence becomes authority. Your discipline becomes attraction. A man like this is unforgettable. Final message of chapter to a man who cannot control his emotions will always be controlled by the world. A man who masters his emotions becomes the master of his life. Anger, jealousy, insecurity, fear, they will come. They are part of being human, but they do not decide who you become. You decide, you lead, you choose, and that is emotional mastery. Asterisk, inside every man lives a voice that never stops speaking. It comments, judges, worries, doubts. It sometimes destroys confidence before the world even has a chance to test it. In 2025, this inner dialogue has become louder than ever. Asterisk. Most men in 2025 are chasing comfort as if it is the ultimate prize of life. They want easier work, quicker rewards, softer routines, and paths with no resistance. Yet the Stoics warn that a man who avoids discomfort becomes weak long before he realizes it. Comfort is not the enemy, but dependence on comfort is. A Stoic man understands a simple truth: ease weakens the mind, hardship strengthens it. Every generation before us fought against real struggles. Now the struggle is inside us. The world has been engineered to remove friction. Food arrives at your door. Entertainment plays automatically. Opinions are delivered to you before you even think. But the consequence is this: when life actually demands strength, discipline, and endurance, many discover they have none left. The Stoics believe that voluntary discomfort is the training ground for a powerful life, not because suffering is good, but because avoiding it turns a man fragile. When you choose small, controlled forms of discomfort, you prepare yourself for the real storms that are guaranteed to come. Wake up early even when you feel tired. Work out even when the body complains. Say no to temptations that pull you backward. Do the task that you've been postponing. Speak the truth even when silence is more comfortable. Each act becomes a silent message to the mind. I am the one in control. Seneca practiced sleeping on the floor once a month to remind himself that luxury is a temporary visitor, not a necessity. Epictetus, who began life as a slave, taught that the strongest man is the one who does not crumble when comfort disappears. Marcus Aurelius, despite being an emperor surrounded by privilege, trained his mind to stay disciplined when everything around him tempted him to relax. Their lesson echoes louder in 2025 than ever before. A man who remains comfortable for too long forgets what he is capable of. Choosing discomfort does not mean choosing misery. It means choosing growth. You are not supposed to torture yourself. You are supposed to stretch yourself. The cold shower is not about pain. It is about proving that your will is stronger than your feelings. The tough conversation is not about conflict. It is about courage. The disciplined routine is not about rigidity. It is about responsibility. Every time you choose discomfort, you gain something: resilience, confidence, clarity, and the quiet pride of knowing you didn't run from life. 2025 demands men who are hardened by practice, not softened by convenience. When challenges arise, and they always do, the man who has trained himself through voluntary discomfort does not panic. He acts, he adapts, he endures. He succeeds while others collapse under pressure. A Stoic man does not fear discomfort. He uses it to remind himself that strength is not found in comfort. It is forged in the fire of disciplined action. His man's energy is his power. It fuels his thoughts, his actions, his discipline, his ambition, and his purpose. Yet in 2025, most men waste their energy carelessly, scrolling aimlessly, engaging in pointless arguments, reacting to every distraction, and giving attention to people who drain more than they give. The Stoics believe that a man who cannot guard his energy will eventually lose control of his entire life. Your energy is not limitless. Your focus is not infinite. Your attention is not cheap. This is why the Stoics treated their energy as a precious resource, something to be protected, directed, and respected. The modern world is designed to steal your energy. Each notification is a small break in your concentration. Every unnecessary fight lowers your emotional strength. Every negative influence you allow into your life becomes a slow leak in your mental fuel. A man who is always drained can never rise. A man who is always scattered can never achieve depth. A man who allows everyone access to him eventually loses access to himself. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that not every thought deserves attention, and not every person deserves a reaction. In today's world, this lesson matters more than ever. When you respond to everything, you become exhausted. When you choose what deserves your response, you become powerful. Guarding your energy begins with clarity. Who deserves your time? Which goals deserve your effort? What habits deserve your attention? What battles deserve your strength? Most people answer none of these questions. They wake up, let the world decide their priorities, and end the day wondering why they feel empty. Stoicism teaches the opposite. A man must decide what truly matters, and then guard his energy from anything that pulls him away from it. Some people drain you through constant negativity. Some habits drain you through addiction to distraction. Some environments drain you by keeping you small. Some thoughts drain you by repeating old fears. A Stoic man identifies these drains and silently removes them from his life. Energy protection also means saying no, a word modern men fear. Stoics understood that every yes is a contract. It costs you time. It costs you focus. It costs you mental space. When you say yes to everything, you sacrifice your own mission. When you say yes only to what matters, your life becomes sharper, cleaner, and more meaningful. Your energy should be treated like a fortress, guarded, structured, and difficult to breach. The man who protects his energy will always outperform the man who wastes it. He thinks clearly because his mind is not polluted. He grows quickly because his focus is not scattered. He moves with intention because his emotional fuel is not leaking from a dozen small holes. In a world full of noise, he becomes a rare force of quiet power. Stoicism teaches that a man's inner strength depends on how wisely he manages his energy. When you guard your mental, emotional, and spiritual power, you become a calmer, stronger, and more effective version of yourself. A man cannot borrow confidence. He cannot fake strength. He cannot pretend to respect himself. Self-respect is earned the same way warriors earn their honor, through daily actions that align with principle, not emotion. In 2025, where men are pulled in 1,000 directions by distraction, comparison, and comfort, self-respect has become rare. But the Stoics knew the truth. A man who lacks discipline will always lack respect for himself. You can tell yourself you are strong, but if your habits are weak, your words become empty. You can tell yourself you are capable, but if you break your own promises, your mind stops believing you. You can tell yourself you deserve better, but your actions must prove it. Self-respect is not built in a single moment. It is built in the quiet hours when no one is watching. Stoics believe that discipline is freedom, the freedom to trust yourself, the freedom to act without hesitation, the freedom to walk into challenges knowing you have trained your mind and body. Every disciplined action is a brick in the structure of your self-respect. Wake up at the time you promised. Complete the tasks you set for yourself. Follow the habits that make you stronger. Avoid the temptations that weaken your character. These moments seem small, but they shape who you become. Each time you follow through, your inner voice says, "He keeps his word." And that is how confidence is created, not through motivation, but through reliability. The Stoics never relied on moods or inspiration. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the body complains, but the mind must lead. Modern men often wait for the right feeling to start, but feelings are unpredictable, inconsistent, and easily manipulated by convenience. Discipline, however, is stable. Discipline is loyal. Discipline is the foundation on which a man can build a powerful life. When you do what needs to be done even when you don't want to, you send a message to your deeper self: I am a man you can trust. That trust becomes self-respect. That self-respect becomes strength. That strength becomes confidence. But discipline is not about perfection. No Stoic ever demanded flawless behavior. They demanded effort, honesty, and correction. When you fail, you get up. When you break a routine, you return to it. When you fall short, you improve. A disciplined man is not the one who never fails. He is the one who never stays down. Self-respect is built through consistent effort, not unrealistic perfection. 2025 is a world filled with shortcuts, quick fixes, and effortless entertainment. But none of these create a man of substance. Stoicism teaches that real self-respect comes from the quiet victories, the moments you choose discipline over laziness, focus over distraction, purpose over impulse. When you build discipline daily, you build a version of yourself that you admire. And when you admire the man in the mirror, the world cannot intimidate you. Self-respect becomes your armor, and no external opinion can pierce it. A man's time, energy, and focus are his most valuable resources. Yet in 2025, most men give these away carelessly. They say yes to every invitation, every request, every distraction, and every demand from others. The Stoics knew that saying yes to everything is a fast path to weakness. Real power lies in learning to say no to things that waste your energy, dilute your focus, or compromise your principles. A Stoic man understands that every yes comes at a cost. Every yes is a contract. Every yes takes something from him. It may take time, focus, peace of mind, or self-respect. When a man says yes to what does not serve him, he says no to himself. Saying no is not selfish. It is strategic. It is a declaration that your priorities matter more than the demands of the world. It is the discipline of protecting your mind, body, and soul. A man who cannot say no becomes a servant to circumstances, people, and distractions. A man who can say no becomes a master of his life. Every opportunity you reject that does not align with your purpose is a victory. Every temptation you resist that weakens your character is a victory. Every unnecessary conflict you avoid to preserve your focus is a victory. These small, deliberate choices accumulate into a life of strength, clarity, and self-respect. The Stoics would remind us that life is finite and attention is scarce. Marcus Aurelius wrote about choosing carefully what deserves your focus, your energy, and your effort. In today's world, distractions are endless. Social media, gossip, drama, meaningless arguments, and shallow connections are constantly trying to claim your attention. A man who says yes to all of them has no time for mastery, growth, or purpose. Saying no does not require explanation. A Stoic man does not justify his boundaries. He does not debate every demand. He decides, he protects, and he moves forward. Others may be frustrated. Others may misunderstand. Others may push back. It does not matter. What matters is that he does not give away his inner power. Learning to say no also strengthens discipline. Every no reinforces your control over impulses and desires. Every no strengthens your focus on what truly matters. Every no builds the fortress of your mind. This is the unseen work of Stoic mastery, choosing your commitments with care, avoiding what dilutes your effort, and investing fully in what serves your purpose. A man who can say no is free, free from unnecessary burdens, free from shallow relationships, free from distraction, free from regret. His yes becomes meaningful, his attention sharp, his life purposeful. Others will notice. They will respect the man who does not bow to every request. They will follow the example of someone who protects his energy, his time, and his mission. In 2025, distractions are more seductive than ever, and opportunities to waste time are everywhere. The Stoic man refuses them. He reserves his energy for growth, his focus for purpose, and his time for meaningful action. Every no becomes a stepping stone toward mastery, every refusal an exercise in strength, and every boundary a declaration of self-respect. In 2025, solitude is rare. Every man is surrounded by noise, notifications, endless social obligations, and constant connection. Yet the Stoics taught that a man who cannot be alone cannot be strong. Solitude is not loneliness. It is a choice of deliberate withdrawal from distraction to cultivate clarity, focus, and self-mastery. A man who fears being alone is a man whose mind is weak. He depends on external validation to feel worthy, external noise to feel busy, and external company to feel secure. The Stoics understood that true strength comes from being comfortable with yourself, your thoughts, and your own presence. A man who masters solitude is never lonely, never dependent, and never easily shaken. In solitude, a man discovers himself. He confronts his fears without distraction. He listens to the inner voice without interruption. He examines his goals, his habits, and his values. Modern life rarely allows this because constant stimuli make reflection uncomfortable. But discomfort is precisely what creates growth. Spending time alone trains the mind to focus. It trains the will to act without external pressure. It allows the man to become self-reliant, emotionally stable, and mentally disciplined. In solitude, you learn to trust your own judgment. You learn to value your own company. You learn to find peace even when the world is chaotic. The Stoics practiced solitude regularly. Marcus Aurelius often retreated to reflect, even while emperor. Epictetus began life as a slave and found strength in reflection. Seneca wrote extensively about the necessity of withdrawing from the crowd to examine the soul. In each case, solitude was not a weakness, it was a weapon. A man who embraces solitude is sharper in his decisions. He is calmer in chaos. He is less likely to be swayed by opinion, distraction, or peer pressure. He is free to think clearly, act intentionally, and live deliberately. Solitude also teaches patience. When you are alone, you are forced to face the slow pace of your own growth. You confront the fact that mastery is not instant. You see that improvement comes from consistent effort, not external rewards or applause. The man who learns to love his own company develops resilience, because he is no longer dependent on the fleeting attention of others for his happiness. In 2025, men are constantly seeking connection, entertainment, and approval, but the Stoic man withdraws intentionally. He prioritizes thinking, planning, and reflection. He spends time reading, writing, meditating, and observing. In doing so, he strengthens his mind, fortifies his will, and cultivates the inner calm that makes him unshakable. A man who can be alone is not lonely. He is free from dependence, free from distraction, free from the need to seek approval. He carries his own presence, confidence, and peace wherever he goes. This is the silent power of solitude. It builds the inner fortress that no external force can breach. Embrace solitude. Do not fear it. Seek it deliberately. In the quiet, you will find clarity. In the stillness, you will find strength. In your own company, you will discover the man you are truly capable of becoming. Asterisk in 2025. The world constantly teaches men to focus on what they lack. Social media highlights other people's success, wealth, appearance, and opportunities. Comparison is unavoidable. It seeps into your thoughts, whispers doubts, and creates a sense of scarcity. The Stoics understood that a mind focused on what it does not have is weak, restless, and easily shaken. True strength comes from learning to be grateful for what you already possess. Gratitude is not a fleeting feeling. It is a deliberate choice. A Stoic man chooses to notice the small things, the ability to breathe, to think clearly, to move, to act. He acknowledges the people who support him, the lessons that have shaped him, and the opportunities that lie before him. Gratitude is not about ignoring problems. It is about anchoring the mind in reality, perspective, and strength. Every morning, the Stoics would reflect on life's gifts, not as luxury, but as tools to strengthen the mind. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that life is short, unpredictable, and often unfair. Yet within it, there are countless things to appreciate. Gratitude for health, for the ability to work, for the presence of allies, for one's own character. These small acknowledgments create a mental fortress against despair and distraction. When a man focuses on what he lacks, he becomes anxious, restless, and reactive. When a man focuses on what he has, he becomes calm, decisive, and resilient. Gratitude turns scarcity into abundance, weakness into strength, and chaos into clarity. Gratitude also shapes action. A man who appreciates what he already has does not waste time chasing meaningless desires. He values his efforts and measures his progress honestly. Gratitude prevents envy, jealousy, and resentment from controlling decisions. Instead, it reinforces focus, discipline, and perspective. The Stoics practiced daily reflection on both challenges and blessings. Each setback was an opportunity to grow. Each success was an opportunity to appreciate effort. Each ordinary day was an opportunity to recognize the small victories that create a powerful life. In a world obsessed with comparison and consumption, gratitude is revolutionary. It strengthens the mind by grounding it in reality. It frees a man from the tyranny of other people's accomplishments. It allows him to pursue goals without anxiety, to endure hardship without bitterness, and to act with confidence instead of fear. A man who practices gratitude becomes unstoppable because he carries abundance in his mind. He becomes patient because he measures life by meaning, not by constant desire. He becomes calm because he appreciates what truly matters. Gratitude is the unseen power behind discipline, emotional control, and inner peace. In 2025, distraction and envy are everywhere, but a Stoic man chooses to focus on what he already has. Every breath, every skill, every lesson, every relationship, every moment of health is acknowledged. In this recognition, he builds resilience. In this recognition, he builds strength. In this recognition, he builds a mind that cannot be broken. Gratitude is more than a habit. It is armor for the mind, clarity for the soul, and strength for the journey ahead. Practice it daily, live it consciously, and watch as your life transforms from chaos into calm, from distraction into purpose, and from fear into unshakable confidence. In 2025, a man's attention is under constant siege. Every app, every notification, every message, every news headline, every advertisement, and every fleeting trend demands his focus. The modern world thrives on distraction. It is a storm designed to scatter your energy, fragment your mind, and make every man a servant to external chaos. The Stoics understood that a man who does not focus on what truly matters will always be lost. Focus is not just about working harder. Focus is about working with clarity. Focus is about distinguishing between what is essential and what is trivial. The Stoic man asks himself, what will have the greatest impact on my life, character, and purpose? Everything else becomes secondary. Everything else becomes noise. Everything else is discarded. Most men in the modern world chase everything at once. They chase money, attention, status, fleeting pleasures, approval, and endless entertainment. They spread themselves thin. Their energy is scattered. Their results are weak. Their minds are restless. The Stoics taught that a man must act like an archer, drawing the arrow of his focus straight toward the target that truly matters. Every other target is ignored. Every other distraction is avoided. True focus is discipline. It is deliberate. It is the product of repeated choices made every day, every hour, every minute. When a man focuses on what matters, his efforts compound. Small, consistent actions build into enormous results. Frustration diminishes. Anxiety fades. Confidence grows. Focusing on what matters also means saying no to what does not. It is the natural extension of the discipline we have discussed in previous chapters. A man who has mastered saying no, guarding his energy, and controlling his emotions can now direct all his attention toward the actions that define him. Focus becomes both a weapon and a shield, cutting through chaos and protecting the integrity of his mission. Every decision, every action, and every thought must serve the higher purpose. The Stoic man prioritizes growth, mastery, self-respect, and meaningful contributions. He does not allow trivial matters, petty arguments, or fleeting trends to steal his energy. He is intentional in every moment. Focus also requires presence. It is impossible to achieve clarity if the mind is always elsewhere. The Stoics emphasize living fully in the present while keeping the larger purpose in mind. Worry about the past or fear of the future is wasted energy. By centering attention on what can be influenced here and now, a man maximizes his power over himself and over his circumstances. In 2025, distractions are everywhere. Technology, social pressures, comparison, and noise pull men in all directions. But a man who focuses on what truly matters becomes rare. He becomes effective. He becomes respected. He becomes unstoppable. Others may try to scatter him, but his mind is anchored, his energy is directed, and his purpose is clear. The Stoics taught that a meaningful life is not measured by activity, but by intentional action. A man who focuses on what matters chooses quality over quantity. He chooses substance over superficiality. He chooses impact over entertainment. His time is precious because he knows that wasted attention cannot be recovered. When a man learns to focus on what truly matters, everything changes. Decisions become easier, confidence grows, stress diminishes, and results multiply. The storms of life no longer overwhelm him because his mind is trained, his energy is protected, and his vision is clear. Focus is the final mastery that brings together all the lessons of discipline, emotional control, self-respect, solitude, gratitude. In saying no. In 2025, the man who can focus becomes the man who rises above the chaos. He is calm, powerful, respected, and unstoppable. This is the Stoic man, intentional in thought, decisive in action, and unwavering in pursuit of what truly matters. Asterisk: a man's environment shapes him more than he realizes. The people he surrounds himself with, the conversations he engages in, and the energy he allows into his life all influence his character, habits, and mindset. In 2025, the world is louder, faster, and more chaotic than ever. A man who does not choose his circle wisely will be pulled into mediocrity, distraction, and weakness. The Stoics understood this truth. You become like the company you keep. A Stoic man surrounds himself with those who elevate him. He seeks allies who inspire, challenge, and support him in pursuit of growth, discipline, and purpose. He avoids energy drains, toxic voices, and people who celebrate weakness or depend on drama. Every relationship is weighed for value, loyalty, and alignment with his principles. In modern life, many men accumulate connections for status, convenience, or distraction. Social media exaggerates this tendency. Thousands of friends, but no real support. The Stoics practiced discernment. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that a wise man's time is too precious for meaningless association. Epictetus emphasized choosing companions who reflect virtue, honesty, and focus. Every interaction shapes your mind, energy, and character, consciously or unconsciously. A strong circle acts as both shield and catalyst. It shields a man from negativity, manipulation, and unnecessary conflict. It catalyzes growth by providing accountability, inspiration, and honest feedback. A man who builds the right circle is no longer alone in his pursuit of discipline, mastery, and purpose. His decisions are supported, his character is reinforced, and his energy is amplified. Choosing allies wisely also means being selective with influence. Avoid people who gossip, complain, or dwell on weakness. Avoid those who distract you from meaningful work, drain your motivation, or celebrate shortcuts. Choose those who act, learn, and grow. Choose those who are honest, disciplined, and principled. A Stoic man does not chase popularity or approval. He values quality over quantity. He understands that a single strong, loyal, principled friend is worth more than 100 casual acquaintances. He invests in relationships that reflect his values, not the noise of society. The modern world tempts men to compromise their principles to fit in, to gain approval, or to avoid conflict. The Stoics rejected this. A man who stands alone in integrity is stronger than one who surrounds himself with weak approval. Yet the right circle magnifies strength. It is not dependence, but support. Together, disciplined men and virtuous allies create a force that is rare, resilient, and unstoppable. When a man chooses his circle wisely, life becomes clearer. Decisions are easier. Distractions diminish. Growth accelerates. Influence becomes more potent. And in moments of challenge, the right allies provide guidance, accountability, and reinforcement that ensures the man does not falter. In 2025, distractions and false connections are everywhere. The man who chooses his companions deliberately avoids energy drains and seeks loyalty over convenience rises above the chaos. His circle is not large, it is strong. His relationships are not superficial, they are meaningful. His influence is not scattered, it is concentrated. A Stoic man understands that allies are not just friends. They are extensions of discipline, mirrors of character, and catalysts for greatness. He builds his circle with care, protects it with wisdom, and nurtures it with respect. This is the invisible foundation of a life that is focused, resilient, and unstoppable. A man will never be free until he learns the limits of control. Life in 2025 is unpredictable. The world changes faster than any plan can keep up. People act in ways that cannot be predicted. Circumstances arise that are beyond preparation. The Stoics taught that a man who struggles against what he cannot control wastes energy, destroys his peace, and weakens his mind. True power lies in accepting reality and focusing only on what can be influenced. Control is an illusion. The weather will not always favor you. The economy will fluctuate. Relationships will disappoint. Health will face challenges. Opportunities will be lost, delayed, or denied. The man who obsesses over these uncontrollable forces lives in anxiety, frustration, and regret. The Stoics understood that peace is found not in changing the world, but in changing your response to it. Acceptance does not mean passivity. It does not mean resignation or weakness. It means clarity. It means understanding where your influence ends and where it begins. Focus becomes sharper when wasted effort is eliminated. Energy is preserved when futile battles are avoided. Action becomes intentional when applied only where it matters. Marcus Aurelius reflected daily on the difference between what lies within his control and what does not. Epictetus reminded his students that some things are up to us and some things are not up to us. A man who lives by this principle frees himself from anger, frustration, and fear. He conserves his strength for what truly matters, his own actions, thoughts, and character. The world will always test you. People will betray trust. Events will go awry. Circumstances will feel unfair. A man who clings to expectations that cannot be controlled sets himself up for misery. The Stoic man responds with focus and composure. He accepts reality as it is, not as he wishes it to be. Then he acts. Then he improves what is within reach. Acceptance brings freedom. The energy once wasted on resentment, blame, or worry is redirected to growth, mastery, and deliberate action. When you stop fighting the inevitable, you can direct your full power to shaping your life in areas where change is possible. Learning to accept what you cannot control also teaches resilience. Setbacks no longer shatter confidence. Mistakes do not destroy composure. Criticism does not wound the mind. External chaos does not disrupt inner calm.